In this video, I'm going to set up a Kali Linux virtual machine. We will need a hypervisor if we want to build a virtual machine. So open up your browser, go to google.com, and type in VirtualBox. And the first link that we have is for virtualbox.org. We have this download button, so click on that. We're a Windows host, so we're going to download the Windows version. Open up your folder and run the installer. Set the UAC prompt. Accept the terms. Next. Yes for the network. Yes for the Python libraries. We don't want to create a shortcut on the desktop. And we don't need a quick launch shortcut either. Register file associations and create start menu entries. Next. Install. Give it a moment to install. Okay, and we're going to deselect this because we have one more thing to do before we run it. Finish. And on the download page over here, we see VirtualBox extension pack. That's what we want so that we can encrypt our virtual machine and be responsible with our pen testing VMs. Accept and download. And if you associated the VirtualBox files with VirtualBox, it should run automatically. So double click to run. And we can install. Read this at least once and agree to the terms. Yes, at the UAC prompt, and we should be good to go. Okay, so in order to build a Kali Linux virtual machine, we're going to need an ISO, which is going to take some time to download. So go back to your browser and go to google.com and type in Kali Linux. And this first link we have, it belongs to kali.org. We have a little download link underneath that. If you click on that, it should take you right to the download. We're going to use an installer image. And here we have the recommended installer, which is what we'll use. So click on it to download and it will start. If we want to verify that the download is in fact legitimate, you can compare the checksum, which is listed here. If we copy this out and put it in a notepad, we can compare the value that we generate when the ISO downloads. Wait for that to finish. Let's go ahead and set up our virtual machine. So hit new to create a new virtual machine. We're going to call this Kali. The folder is where the virtual machine is going to live. So if we want to customize the location, we'll click on this caret, go to other, and then navigate to the folder you want the VMs to live in. So I'll go to my D drive and I will create a new folder called VMs. And I'll select that. ISO image. Our ISO looks like it's done. To verify that it's the file we want, we can go over to it, and if we have 7-zip installed, we go down to show more options in Windows 11, and Windows 10 should look like this. 7-zip, CRC SHA-256. Double click the value to get it to pop up in a new window, and double click and copy out. Let's compare it to that file hash that we had on the website. And we have a match. So we know that it's the legitimate file. So we're good to use it. And so let's move it over into our ISOs folder here. And we will rename it to just Kali. Now for our ISO image, we can navigate over to our Kali Linux ISO in our ISOs folder. And select the image. Type is going to be Linux. Subtype is Debian. Version is Debian 64-bit. Skip the unattended install portion. Hardware. If I'm just running one virtual machine, I tend to crank this all the way up, but that's a bit excessive, I think.
I don't need much.
So let's go ahead and just crank it up to 12. And we'll use about 1/3 of our processors. We have 24 available, so we'll use 8. Hard disk. Let's expand the disk to 100 gigabytes. And we'll leave this deselected so that it doesn't take up 100 gigabytes right off the bat. VDI is fine for our hard disk file type and variant. Finish. And then just a few more things before we boot it up. Right click the VM and go to settings. Under advanced, we have shared clipboard and drag and drop. We're going to change these two to bidirectional so that we can move things in and out of the VM. Disk encryption. We're going to enable this so that we can be responsible security professionals. AES 256 is a good cipher. And then let's put in our password. Okay. We have a boot order. Let's deselect floppy, put optical at the top, and then hard disk in second place. And this should be okay. I usually crank the video memory all the way up. Network. We have not enabled, which is good, and that should be fine. Make sure all the other adapters are off so that it doesn't cause any conflicts. Serial ports. Make sure all of these are off. We don't need those. USB 3.0. I usually use the latest version. We don't need a shared folder, and we'll leave the user interface as it is. Okay. And we see we have a ready to go encrypted Kali Linux virtual machine. So let's boot it up. We see that it's reading the ISO. Let's click into the virtual machine and hit enter. And let's put in our password to decrypt the virtual machine. We'll select English for our language. United States is fine for our location. American English. This is going to be the name of our computer, so we'll call this one Moody. Continue. Domain name, if you don't have a domain to connect to, you can just leave it as LAN or you can skip it. Continue. Full name for the new user. This is whatever alias you're using. In my case, I will type in Alistair Moody. Continue. Username for your account, Mad-Eye. Continue. Password for the user. And re-enter. Configure the clock. We're in Hawaii. Continue. Guided use entire disk is our partitioning method. We only have the one disk to select, so we'll just continue. All files in one partition. That's what we want. Finish partitioning and write changes to disk. Yes. Write changes to disk. Yes. Here we can select software to install. I'm just going to go with the defaults and continue. Install the grub bootloader onto your primary drive. Yes. And we are going to select this drive here for bootloader installation. Continue. And our installation is complete. So it's time to boot into our new system. So we're going to say continue, and it should reboot into Kali Linux. Alrighty. So we'll put in our username and our password. We're in. If we expand, we can see that the VirtualBox guest editions are already installed because we can change the window size. But the first thing that we do when we set up a virtual machine is we update all the way. So if you click on this terminal emulator, we get a terminal window. Let's maximize that. If we want to make the text bigger, we can hold Control and hit the plus key. So if we want to update, we will type in sudo update, and we want to upgrade. So sudo upgrade -y. We hit enter and put in your password. It's not going to show up, but put in your password and hit enter. Trust that it's going in, and it'll start to install everything that we need it to. So I'm going to go ahead and let this run, and I will come back when it's done. Looks like it's done installing. Let's go ahead and press the up key to get the last command that we entered to double check that we have everything that we need. And we see that we have some packages that can be upgraded. We also see that we have some packages that can be removed. So let's go ahead and sudo apt auto remove to remove them. That's this command right here. Why? We'll hit up twice to get back to that other command that we entered and hit enter. Okay, so we have 18 packages that can be upgraded. So let's see which ones can be upgraded. So if we copy this command out and we paste it in, we can see that we have all of these packages that are available. That's not being automatically included in our updates. Upgrade the very first one. So if we copy this out and we scroll all the way down and we say sudo apt upgrade and we paste that name in, the green text at the top, Kali Linux headless, and we hit enter. And why? We see that it's now installing that, and a lot of the times it'll go ahead and install some of the other dependencies that it needs. So if we hit up and we search for that command that we were putting into update and upgrade and hit enter, we see that we have pretty much everything done except for just one package that can be upgraded. So that package is this QTerminal right here. Now, if we copy that selection out and we say sudo apt upgrade, and we paste that package in, it's going to return with an error. We see that we have a held broken package. What do we do in this instance? I searched kind of harder than I really needed to. What we need to do to get this to push through is type in sudo apt install and type in that value QTerminal. And we hit enter, and then Y. Yeah. So if we go up to that sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade -y, hit enter, we see we have a package we no longer need. So we can sudo apt auto remove Y. And then go back up to sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade. And we see all packages are up to date, and there's nothing left to do for it. So we're good to go on that front. Whenever I finish updating and upgrading, I like to reboot so that it settles in. We can do that with sudo reboot now. So we're back at the login screen. Let's type in our username and our password. And when we open the terminal, it'll look a little different. It has this white background and it's supposed to look nice. I don't like it. So I'm going to right click into this blank space, go to preferences, and under this color scheme option we have black on light yellow, which I don't know. So we have a bunch of other different options here. I personally like the green on black, so I'm going to apply. Okay, and that looks a lot better to me. So hold the control and the plus key to make the text bigger. And there's one last thing that I like to do with Kali Linux, and that is I like to install PimpMyKali. Pretty awesome. So if you type in PimpMyKali into Google, it's this default Arch. So if you go to this GitHub, it does a lot of things that really helps with the Kali Linux installation. So highly recommend. But if we want to do that, we're going to copy this link right here out, and then we're going to go over to our terminal. So we want a new folder to put this in. So if we type in ls, we see that we have the standard folders because we are in the home directory. If we type in pwd, we see that we are in the home madi directory. So this is the user profile folder structure. So if we want to change directories, like if we want to go back, we can say cd and we can just type in a slash. And we see that this home tilde changed into a slash. So if we say pwd, it's going to just say slash. That's our root directory. So ls, and we have all of these weird folders, right? So what we want is this, and that's the optional software folder. So this is kind of technically where you're supposed to put anything that you install onto the VM, but in any case. So we're going to change directory, so cd over into opt ls, and we have Microsoft. That's pretty much it. Make a directory called PimpMyKali, PMK. Of course, you have to have sudo to do that. So sudo make dir PMK. Put in your password, ls, and we have a PMK folder. So cd into PMK, ls, and there's nothing in here. Okay, cool. So to get PimpMyKali, we're going to say sudo git clone, and we're going to paste that link in with Control Shift and V. Enter. Okay, so that was very quick. ls. In the folder, we have a bunch of files. What we're focusing on is this pimpmykali.sh. So we're going to say sudo and then /pimpmykali.sh. Hit enter. Now we have a bunch of options here. The one that we're focusing on is going to be this N option here, new VM setup. So run this option if this is the first time running PimpMyKali. Type in N, and then menu selection is N, press Y or N to confirm. So yes. Okay, now it's going to install everything that's included with PimpMyKali, which includes a bunch of fixes and other really good stuff. So I'm going to let this run, and I'll come back when everything is good to go.
Finally!
We'll reboot one more time. And check one more time. There we go. And we are fully up to date. That's about it. Thanks for watching.